Hey there, Teddy Rumpskin here. Yeah. Hey there, Teddy Rumpskin here, and happy Halloween, everybody. Yeah, to celebrate the holiday, we're gonna do a special video with Gremlins vs. Critters. Yeah! Gremlins vs. Critters. Woohoo! Yeah. A battle between two of the tiny little monsters with great big appetites that were popular in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, we're going to do it. See who's going to win. We're going to compare the movies, and we're also going to talk about which of the tiny little monsters with great big appetites that were popular in the 80s and 90s would win if they were actually to fight one another, right? Yeah. So, let's start off talking about the movies, right? Now, Gremlins came out in 1984, right? Yeah. And it really was one of my favorite movies growing up, you know? I like the idea of the tiny, adorable little mogwai, the little fluffy creature, would actually transform into a hideous monster, right? And, it could multiply with water, right? And then suddenly there's a whole shitload of these horrible little creatures running around the fucking small town terrorizing people and eating people and shit. It's crazy. It's actually a really violent movie. It's also like a Christmas movie and kind of a movie intended for kids, but it's great. I fucking love it. You know what I'm saying? It was a huge hit, you know? It's a big fucking blockbuster, and really, even though it's violent and kind of scary, it's not that scary. It's got scary elements, but it's mostly funny, you know? It's actually a pretty funny movie, you know? And then in 1986, they made Critters, which was definitely made to cash in on the success of Gremlins. Abso-fucking-lutely, you know?
Critters. They bite.
I mean, Critters is much of the same thing. These tiny little creatures that run around and terrorize a small town. That's what they do. They fucking eat people and shit, right? But when Critters tries to change up the formula just a little bit, you know? These aren't cute, adorable little mogwais that turn into hideous creatures. They kind of split the difference. They're fuzzy little creatures that have like horrible little mouths full of teeth that they could eat like anything, you know? And they also add another element. These intergalactic bounty hunters that have come from outer space to fucking kill them, right? Right? Because the critters are from outer space. Yeah, that's the idea. They came from outer space. I mean, where'd the gremlins come from? I don't really know. Nobody really knows where the fucking gremlins came from. They came from Asia or something, right? Yeah. But with the critters, they came from outer space. And these bounty hunters came to kill them, you know? They're like intergalactic exterminators, you know? And there's a really cool scene at the beginning of the movie where these guys actually shapeshift into human form, right? At first they have these faces that are kind of just blanks, but then they can transform into anything they're looking at. And this guy like watches a music video from Earth and kind of transforms his face into this rock star. It's actually a really cool transformation sequence, you know? It's like, whoa. It's like his face is melting in reverse. It's really freaky and pretty fucking cool. Actually, Critters is a damn good fucking movie, you know? It's basically meant to cash in on Gremlins, and it's kind of a ripoff, but it does have enough original elements that it's actually really good, you know? In fact, Siskel and Ebert gave it thumbs up. Yeah, they fucking liked it, you know? Even though they did acknowledge that it was kind of a ripoff of Gremlins.
Especially if you've seen Gremlins or The Terminator. This movie seems to be inspired in about equal parts by those two other films, but that doesn't make it a bad movie. In fact, I sort of like Critters.
Gremlins and Terminator. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, if you count the intergalactic exterminators as kind of like Terminators, I guess. Sure.
themselves. They got these little bowling balls with teeth going, and these monsters going after them, the bounty hunters you call them. And that, for me, was kind of fun. We're sort of innocent bystanders to this whole action, which, if I were a teenager, I just ate up. And I enjoyed it as a double teenager.
I like the way the movie was able to go back and forth between what is obviously supposed to be a science fiction thriller and the other part, which is kind of a down-home
Anyway, so
comedy.
basically, yeah, they both liked it, which is great, you know. I liked it too. Critters is a damn good movie. And then 2 years later, in 1988, they made a sequel, Critters 2: The Main Course, which is pretty much more the same, you know. The critters are running around again, and we got those intergalactic bounty hunters back again to fucking kill them, right? This time, one of the intergalactic bounty hunters, like, morphs into, like, a centerfold, like a Playboy Playmate or something, right? You know, because that's what he sees when he transforms. And when he turns into the chick, his, like, clothes fly off, right? Well, of course they do. I don't know. Yeah, that makes sense. As he's running around, like, half naked. Yeah, when they show up to fucking kill those fucking critters, right? With their, telescoping guns that are kind of like dicks. Yeah, Critters has a sense of humor much like the fucking Gremlins movies. But, the Gremlins had some crude humor in that movie for sure. But, Critters is even more crude, you know what I'm saying? It's even more like that, you know what I'm saying? And then in 1990, they made a sequel to Gremlins. Gremlins, it's like a self-satire. It's fucking crazy. And yet it also takes sly winks at the classic monster movies. Actually, Christopher Lee, Dracula himself, shows up in the film as a mad scientist who's doing weird experiments on the fucking gremlins. Yeah, and there are mutant gremlins running around, right? There's like a gremlin that's part spider, right? It's fucking nuts. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And really, Gremlins 2 it's a bit much, you know? If the original fucking Gremlins is like a Big Mac, yeah, it's delicious double-decker burger with like everything on it, right? Gremlins 2 is like a Big Mac covered in chocolate, you know, and jelly beans, and it's just too much. It's too much. Like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing, right? Like, stop while you're a fucking head. But no, Gremlins takes it even further. It goes all the way out, and it's completely nuts. It's fucking crazy. Now, I actually do recommend Gremlins 2, the new batch, because it is pretty crazy, but it's a little much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then the following year, 1991, they made Critters 3. Yeah, Critters 3, which is, more of the same, really. There's really not much that's actually very special about Critters 3. I'd say skip it. The only thing worth your time is, a very young Leonardo DiCaprio shows up in the movie. Yeah, that's something. Look, it's Leo DiCaprio. But, mostly the movie is just, it's pretty generic and not really very good. Nope. Critters 3 kind of sucks. Yeah. And then, in 1992, they made Critters 4. Yeah! Critters 4 kind of sucks too, but it's mildly more interesting than the other one because it takes place in outer space, right? Yeah, in outer fucking space. About these guys on a fucking spaceship being terrorized by critters and shit, right? But actually putting the critters in outer space isn't quite as far-fetched as, with Jason X, where Jason Voorhees is in outer space, or Leprechaun in space, right? Or one of the Hellraiser movies that was in outer space, right? But because the critters are actually from outer space. That's part of their origin, they're crazy creatures from outer space, right? But the movie still sucks. It really does. You could tell just how cheap it is by its cheap fucking spaceship sets. And movie's mostly pretty boring, right? But it does have Brad Dourif in it. Hey, no, I mean, not Brad Dourif. Steven Dorff. I get Brad Dourif and Steven Dorff confused. Actually, wait, is it Brad Dourif or is it Steven Dorff? Well, whatever, this guy, right? This guy, the guy who's the voice of Chucky. Yeah, he shows up in the movie and, yeah, he's alright. There he is.
Give her about a month before we all glow in the dark.
Don't kid about shit like that.
Yeah, he's pretty good. But you can't really save this stupid fucking Critters movie. Fuck no. It's pretty fucking bad.
Exactly like my ex-wife.
And there you go. That's the Gremlins movies and the Critters movies, you know? There's only 2 Gremlins movies, but there's 4 fucking Critters movies. Which pretty much breaks down about right, because it takes 2 Critters movies to equal the quality of 1 fucking Gremlins movie. Honestly, you know. Except the first Critters movie's pretty damn good. But, yeah. So let's talk about which of these tiny little monsters would actually win if they would actually fight one another, right? We got the little critters from outer space, right? And they can pretty much eat anything with those nasty little teeth of theirs, right? They can tear right through metal and pretty much anything, you know? Then on the other side, we got gremlins, right? Oh, those gremlins, which actually, if you put one fucking critter against one fucking gremlin, well, I would definitely give it to the fucking gremlin, because he's so much bigger, you know? He's bigger than the fucking critter. And he's got claws in addition to nasty teeth, you know? Critters just got a big mouth, but gremlins have claws and shit, you know? So, but the real strength of the critters and the gremlins is in their sheer numbers, you know what I mean? You have a shitload of critters and you got a shitload of gremlins. Who would win there, right? Well, I still gotta give it to the fucking gremlins. Because, not really sure how the critters reproduce exactly. I think they, I think it's when they eat, they multiply. But the gremlins can multiply like a million fucking times. All you gotta do is add water, right? Just add a little water, and suddenly one gremlin can turn into a whole shitload of gremlins. You know what I'm saying? Oh, shit, yeah. So we really gotta give it to the fucking gremlins. In the battle between Gremlins versus Critters, whether we're talking about the movies, which are definitely better than the Critters movies, or we're talking about actual monsters actually fighting one another, the point goes to the fucking gremlins. Yeah. But what do you guys think? You know, leave me a comment down there. Let me know what you think. Do you think the critters would win? And if so, why? Why? Yeah. And, yeah, there you go. Happy Halloween, everybody. And keep it real.